Hey, aren't the Republicans having just one hell of a blast? I've never seen anything like this. I watched a little bit of the hearings today of the the Joint Economic Committee. I believe it was the House and the Senate. They had both there. Joint Economic Committee, who got together to consider financial regulatory reform and protecting the taxpayers and the economy, and yeah. And they had Secretary of the Treasury Timothy Geithner there, and it's astonishing to see. It's astonishing to see. I know everybody has their opinion of Timothy Geithner. I don't like the way the Obama administration has handled this chaos that the Bush crime family, after 8 years of mismanagement, corruption, fraud, theft, murder, and mayhem, they handed it all off to Barack Obama. And it's been an enormous burden, obviously. Bush never paid any attention to anything. It was all run by Cheney. And Cheney's a sick old bastard who, has been alive for 700 years, so there's no telling how, what kind of worms and rats run around inside of him. But they handed Obama all of these crises. These are not problems that Obama's dealing with. They gave him 2 wars. They gave him a bailout to the banking industry signed by Bush. I don't know why nobody seems to remember that. They gave him an economy in such horrendous shape that auto dealers, banks, everything was collapsing. Now, okay, it was the bank's fault. Okay, it was the auto industry's fault. But 8 years of Bush, they tried to fix, correct, ameliorate, handle nothing. In fact, when Bush took over with nothing but a budget surpluses, as far as the eye could see, Bush did what a Republican rat bastard normally would do. Other than screw everything up and run hiding in the bushes and call for mommy, he issued a great big old tax cut, which destroyed everything that was put together during the 90s. Okay, fair enough. But now the Republicans, these swine, these corporate mouthpieces in the House and the Senate, I'll use Bush's vernacular, are playing like they care. They're playing like, hey, Mr. Geithner, how come you haven't fixed everything? Hey, Mr. President, how come you haven't fixed everything? Hey, Mr. Holder, why haven't you fixed it? These sons of bitches, these Republicans, whining about the economy, screeching about Obama's hesitation regarding Afghanistan, whimpering and moaning about closing Guantanamo and bringing people to the United States to stand trial. Crisis after crisis that they created. And these supercilious bastards sit there on these committees. And don't get me started about Joe Lieberman. Well, yeah, I told Dawson today, I don't know what to do about. They sit there and play like, to use Bush's term again, they didn't have anything to do with causing the problems. When in fact, the Republican Party that was in the majority for how many years destroyed everything, which was their plan. I mean, this is not advanced algebra, folks. This is basic math. The plan, going all the way back to Reagan, was to bankrupt the country, destroy everything, which meant that all the social services would have to stop, which is what's happening. And that wages would be depressed, which is what's happening. That the labor force would be reduced, which is what's happening. One of the things that capitalism has to feed on, in addition to families and decency, is excess labor. If there's no excess labor, capitalism gets to a point where all of a sudden they're paying competing wages. They have to compete with other companies because the labor pool is not as big as they'd like it. There isn't the huge surplus of labor. That's why in capitalist societies they consider 5% unemployed, which can be millions of people, to be full employment. How do you like that? So what the Bush crime family did during those years of corruption, fraud, death, destruction, lies, deceit, not only did they steal the country blind, Not only did they get us into 2 illegal wars, not only have they did they set up the United States for the attack on September 11th, just on and on and on, all of which are actionable crimes that could have put, or should have put, practically everybody connected with the Bush crime family into prison for a long period of time. Not only that, but then they all scattered to the underbrush, as Republicans do, when the new sheriff came to town. And now the Republicans in the House and the Senate are just having a field day, blaming anyone they can in the Democratic Party for the crapola that they produced, for the horrendous mess. Every single problem that we are dealing with now comes from the 8 years of the Bush crime family. Every single problem. Now, if you want to put a fine point on it, say, well, Malloy, the Glass-Steagall Act was gutted by Bill Clinton. He signed it. Yes, that's true. And it was written by Republicans, and Bill Clinton's a Republican. Come on, get real. Wake up. Smell the coffee or the dung or whatever it is, the stench that Republicans are putting out. But to watch them on the electric TV, to watch some of this stuff is a little bit galling. We are going to just give you about 4-minute treat here when we come back from this first break. It is the hearing of the Joint Economic Committee today to consider this economic mess that we're in. And to hear the Republicans, we're only going to play one for you. Kevin Brady of Texas, Representative Kevin Brady of Texas. He likes to bill himself as one of the more thoughtful conservatives in Congress. That's a contradiction in terms. There's no such thing any longer as a thoughtful conservative. They are knee-jerk conservatives. They are reactionary conservatives. They are brain-dead conservatives. They are willfully ignorant conservatives, but there's no such thing as a thoughtful conservative. They don't exist. That's a figment of somebody's wild imagination. But Brady of Texas lit into Tim Geithner like an anaconda, telling the cabinet member that he should just go ahead and quit, because his failures were reflecting badly on the president, as if this snaky rat bastard from Texas cares about Obama. This is a white man from Texas, all of a sudden finding his inner Negro and just caring so much for Barack Obama. Well, Mr. Geithner, maybe you ought to resign. You're making the president look bad. Oh, Jesus. Well, it doesn't stop. I don't care what area of governance that you want to take a look at. The mess that was given to Barack Obama has implications that go way beyond his presidency. Whether he's in there for 4 years or 8 years is immaterial. These problems are not going to be solved. And eventually there's going to be an avalanche. Because we Americans are dumber than hog snot, there's going to be an avalanche of Republican votes like there was in 94, only it's going to be even worse. And we're going to have a Republican president, Republican vice president, Republican Congress, both houses. Huh? You think? And when that happens, well, then you will know that the grand experiment has finally come to an end. I want you to listen to Kevin Brady of Texas and Secretary Timothy Geithner, Treasury Secretary, when we come back. Stay with us. I'm Mike Malloy.